Hey, Mr. Gilliam here, and I am here to show you how to use your controller and a motor and your brain. So let's start with the basics. So let's start with our kit. Everything that I'm pulling out of your kit is coming from the top part of your kit. The first thing I'm going to pull out is the brain. Now with the brain, we're going to show you guys how to put in a battery. It's very simple, but you're going to need a battery in order to operate your brain. So to do so, on the bottom side of your brain, you have a side where there is an opening, and then there's a side where there is no opening, like so. What you want to do is you want to insert your brain into the side where there is, or battery, where there is a side that is an open side. Now, notice how I'm putting this battery in. This part here does not go in first. The flat part does. So I'm going to take the flat part and I'm going to insert the battery. When you have inserted the battery, you should hear a clip or click. Now, one of the things you want to watch for is the battery should not fall out. If your battery's falling out, you didn't put it in the right way. If you're trying to ram it in, stop what you're doing and do not ram the battery in, or you're going to be paying for a new one. So please, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you are sliding it in so that everything fits in place just like that, and you run that flat side and then you hear a click. And now your brain has a battery. Your brain has power. And you could turn your brain on. Now that's step one. So go ahead and plug in your battery and brain. Now that my brain's on, I want to turn my brain off. It's very easy. There's an X button right here. You're going to hold that X button until it turns off. Very simple. Now that you have your brain off, we're going to go ahead and plug in the motor, and I'm going to show you guys just how to do that. To plug in the motor, you'll need to pull out one of these cords from the top of your kit. Once you pull one of those out, you're going to plug it in to port number 1. Across the front of your brain, you have all these numbers. You want to plug yours into port number 1. Make sure it clicks just like so. So that way when you're pushing in, it just clicks in like that. Now, once you are going and putting this in, it is clicked, you need to then put in your motor. This is a motor. I pulled the motor out of the top of my kit, and now I'm ready to put the motor in. To plug the motor in, all I do is I plug it into the hole and hear a click. Very simple, right? Now, first warning, number 1, if your brain is not turned off, then this won't work. So you need to make sure your brain is turned off. That's incredibly important. So now we're ready for the next step. But before I do that, go ahead and plug in your motor. Now that we've got the motor plugged in and you guys have it plugged in, we're going to get ready to actually make this motor move. So the first thing you need in order to make the motor move is you need your controller. So you can pull your controller out of the top of your bin, and to turn your controller on, you just press the power button right in the center. All you got to do is press it once and you should get a green light. Sometimes you'll get a red light, which means it's charging or needs charge, but you can do the green light. If you don't get a light at all, what you can do, and I'll show you shortly in a moment what happens if you can't, where you can use a blue tether to help you out with that. But I've got a green light, so my robot battery is ready to go. The next thing I need to do is I need to turn my brain on. Now I'm turning my brain on and I'm hoping that I see a blinking sign. If I see a blinking green, that means that my remote is blinking green and my brain is blinking green. And that means that these two have been connected, they are synced together, and they are ready to roll. So I now have the ability to actually turn on my remote. So now I can operate the motor. To operate the motor, you don't just start pressing buttons. That's not how it works. On your brain, you have some commands, okay? One of the commands that you will see is you have something called driver control. Click it with the check mark. Then you have something called run. Click it with the check mark. And now it'll say running. Now, if it says running, what you're going to do is you're just going to move one of the joysticks. If that doesn't work, that means it's the other joystick. As you can see, my motor is now turning. That means that I have power going from my brain, and I have an input, my controller, sending the message to the brain. The brain is sending it out to the motor saying, turn. And I can go forward and backwards, and that allows me to turn my motor. So go ahead and make sure that your motor is working, and then I'll show you how to hook something up to your motor so that you can actually use it properly. What happens if my brain doesn't work or my motor doesn't work? Let's say I plug this in and my controller is not connecting to my battery. Or my brain, what do I do? What do I do? Have no fear. I'm here. Well, I'm not here. I'm actually not here at all. I'm actually going to the doctor. But other than that, I'm here for you virtually. Anyways, so if you need to figure out that problem, let me show you a very, very quick fix. If you don't need to solve that problem, skip ahead in this video or just watch it for your pure entertainment reasons. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and show you. You need a blue tether cord. You can ask Mr. Chope for a blue tether cord. If Mr. Chope's not available, bother him and bug him until he gives you a blue tether cord. That's right. Don't ask anyone else except Mr. Chope. No, I'm kidding. You can ask your adult. The blue tether cords are right up there. Please don't bother Mr. Chope. Anyways, you plug in the blue tether cord to where it says tether on the side of your brain. And once you tether in, you push it in until it clicks. Click. Then you're going to plug in to your remote. Your remote also has a part that says tether. So you're going to plug in the tether just like that. And now you have a connection from your brain over to your controller. It's wired. It's okay for now. Later on, it won't be okay, but we'll figure that out once we get there. For today, this is all you need. So if your remote does not work, here is the solution to your problem. You can thank me later. I accept gummy bears as payment. See ya. If you've made it this far in the video, either A, you enjoy watching and listening to me speak nearly as much as I do, or you've actually done this and you're ready to actually make your motor do something. So I'm hoping it's B and not A, because if it was A, that's weird, and I do not enjoy watching myself nor listening to myself, although I sound like I do. But anyways, here is your motor. It's ready. You've got your brain turned on. You've got a blinking green light, or you're tethered in. Either way, you've got your remote ready to run, and your brain and your motor are working. So let's talk about this. Number one, look at your motor. Your motor has a square peg in the middle, not a round peg, but a square peg. That means only one piece or one type of piece is going to go inside of there. That piece can be found by opening up your kit and going to the small pieces section. That's right, the small pieces section. And if you look in there, you will find various axles, various meaning different kinds of axles. And these axles have squares in them. All you need to do to make your motor work is you need to plug in that axle, and then you can begin attaching things to this axle. And that axle turns. It doesn't need to do anything special. I just want you to know how to use that. You can also use different pegs to collapse into here and actually connect pieces to it if you would like, so that way it doesn't fall out, because as you can tell, it's pretty wobbly. Pieces that fit inside the axle that are very helpful are gears. Gears are actually very helpful. I wouldn't necessarily use this gear unless I know how to. This is called a 12-tooth gear. But this gear will allow it to move. But you could also use bigger pieces. There's also some other smaller pieces if you look inside of your middle kit. Actually, not your middle kit. We're going to look inside our bottom kit. Oh, this is the middle kit. It almost says bottom, so I didn't put it back right. I blame them. But you also have these 3 pieces in there with the actual square in the middle. And so that actually kind of creates something for you to be able to turn. And you have it just like that. So that's kind of how it works. Good luck, and I hope you figure out how to make your motors work.